What's going on, YouTube? And a special thanks and welcome to the Nightwish Army once again. It's been about 2 weeks since I covered this song, Music, as I embark on this journey of reacquaintance with this album that I heard when it first came out and never really gave it much more attention than that. But after knowing how much the album means to everybody, after hearing people talk about the deep themes that run through it, how it's actually a sequel to Endless Form's Most Beautiful, I decided to give it the attention it deserves, give it another shot, and do it with all of you. So here we go. Now, in Endless Form's Most Beautiful, the theme that runs throughout is deeply based on Richard Dawkins' studies and books concerning evolutionary biology. Then Human Nature picks up where that leaves off and really focuses on what it means to be human, where our place is in nature, how we interact with nature, and how we reconcile ourselves back to nature. So the album starts with music. We've already covered that one. The song is a very deep analysis of the history and evolution of music, and also what it means to us as it connects us to each other and to the world around us. And I think it's only fitting that the song directly after that is the song Noise. So I think in analyzing this song, we're going to jump back to the work of Richard Dawkins again and talk a little bit about what he says it means to be human and what separates us from the rest of the living creatures that are on this earth. The biggest thing that separates us is information. Now, sure, animals share information in all kinds of different ways, various sounds. Bees will dance to show where flowers are and things like that. Apes can teach their young how to look for food, what to eat, what not to eat, and so on. But humans are incredibly unique because we have the ability to transmit information in vast amounts. And of course, the biggest way that we do that is through language, both spoken and especially written language. Because when we pass on information, we do it both vertically and horizontally. By vertically, we're passing it down to our offspring, right, through various generations that follow us. And information is transmitted that way. But then we're also transmitting information to each other, right? People who are not our children, but across the world. Now, if you end up reading all of Richard Dawkins' books and you come away with one cool fact, something that is a knockout at parties, here's a very interesting fact. Richard Dawkins was actually the one who invented the phrase meme back in the early 80s, well before these people were even born. Now today, the word meme has a very specific use. We tend to think of these little snippets of information, these little pictures. It's just a little blip of information, but it's enough to relay sometimes a very profound message or a very sarcastic message or whatever. But at its very heart, a meme is just the smallest bit of information we can transmit to where it makes sense. So when Dawkins coined this phrase, the meme is basically the exact counterpart as the gene. The gene is the smallest amount of information it takes to hand down a specific trait. And of course, the way evolution works is that genes are constantly competing against each other for survival. Well, in the same way, memes, or little bits of information, whether it's spoken word, whether it's an advertisement, whether it's an article in a newspaper, whether it's this video right here, memes are constantly fighting each other for information. Think about this right now. If you're watching this video, somehow the meme, which is my video, my information, is winning and defeating all other memes for your attention. And there was a time not so long ago where there wasn't too many memes coming at us. Maybe a newspaper article here, maybe a conversation with a friend on the phone over here, right? Maybe a song on the radio over here. But think of the world we live in now. Constantly bombarded by information from all sides, all at once, to where our brain is just about to pop. And if you think about it, for millions of years, we've been programmed to really only be concerned with a small tribe or group of people. Well, now, in a matter of decades, we are connected across the world. and completely overloaded with information. And that is what I believe the song Noise is about. And there's interviews with Thomas. He's not trying to be preachy. He's not trying to say put down your cell phones and never touch them, never use them again. He's not trying to say YouTube is bad. In fact, he says he embraces technology. But we just have to be careful with letting us completely consume us to the point where we get shut out from the world around us. So there's your introduction to the song. I apologize, it was kind of long, but I know this song so well, so this is going to be more of an analysis. So we're going to watch the video and pause here and there. Honestly, in preparing for this video was the first time I ever looked at the lyrics, and they are insanely brilliant. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. So here we go. Okay, so here we go. And I want to apologize out of the gate. I am probably going to pause a lot here because there's so much to talk about in this video. It's so well done, but there's a lot of images flashing, a lot of things happening. So this might end up being a longer video. It might not be for you, and I apologize for that. If you like deep analysis though, then we should be good to go. So something I want you to pay attention to in the very beginning here is just the chaotic phrasing of the melody. So basically Kai, I believe, is just playing like a straight 4/4 on the drums, but everything else is all over the place. Everything's real choppy. It's in segments and segments, but everything always resolves after 4 measures. So I think that's kind of interesting. Just again, kind of showing, time's marching on and everything's just chaos in the middle of all of it as we're constantly bombarded from every direction by information. All right, here we go. And of course, if you've got kids, this is such a disturbing thing in the beginning. When we take little children and we put screens in their faces, like all the time, you're kind of locking them into this world, right? Yeah. So you hear how everything resolves itself right here. Okay, I'm going to do some lyrical analysis too, really quick. So let's look at that last blurb here. Okay, so it begins, crave the machine, revere the screen, zoom in for flack and misery. So it kind of reminds me of that song by Tool, Vicarious. If you haven't heard that song, it's amazing. And it's basically just about how intrigued we are by the suffering of some people, right? Or when people are going through some drama, we just love to watch it for whatever reason. So zoom in for flack and misery. Shoot yourself and pose for the dead. Now, I believe what they're talking about there is how we sometimes act so concerned about, again, when people die on the other side of the world, or, there's a catastrophe that happens, and we're very concerned about it. And again, when that happens, we're going up against millions of years of evolutionary programming in our brains. Our brains aren't designed to truly, truly mourn for that many people. We're designed to, again, have that small group of people. So that means, kind of almost one of two things are happening. Number one, really, really deeply inside, you maybe are not as empathetic for all of these millions of other people out there who are suffering as you were if they were in their little circle of influence, right? Or you just basically go on overload and kind of just, lose your mind a little bit. So I think that's what they're saying. The more information we get about other people, sometimes we act more concerned than we really are. Now, please don't come out with the pitchforks with this. A lot of this stuff is found in Dawkins' work and things like that. And it's really a hard pill to swallow, And some of you, again, maybe you do have that true empathy for people all around the world. But that would definitely be kind of like a newer thing, right? I guess it's one thing to have genuine concern over a situation that involves a lot of people. But each individual person to feel that crushing loss that you would for a family member, things like that, again, I think you would just go insane probably. So I have a feeling I'm going to dig myself in a hole with this, but it's just some brutal honesty and truths, I guess, maybe, that probably don't apply to everybody. So I'm probably talking out of turn. Whatever. Okay, let's move on. Have a near-life experience in a hot air matrix. Not a near-death experience, but a near-life experience. So as you're plugged into this matrix, the internet, you're trying to experience something that resembles life. This reminds me back in the day when The Sims came out. And I remember I kind of got into it, and I was playing it like for a couple days in a row, for hours at a time. And I remember getting excited when my character finally got a job. I was just mastering getting him to the bathroom on time and doing things like that, but he got a job and I was so excited, and I looked around and I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Right? I have a real life to live, and I'm getting excited about, so I don't know. That's just, anyways, I don't want this video to be too long, so we'll move on. All right. Now you're a star, playing avatar, feeding the beast in your loud ego land. You have become tool over tool, digital fools telling you to shut up and dance. All right, so again, what we're seeing here is just a lot of pretentious behavior, right? Everybody's looking in their phones and everybody's constantly doing selfies, shooting selfies of each other, right? And then, of course, we're going to see a little flip later on. All right, so now you're a star, a vain avatar, feeding the beast in your loud ego land. So here's something else to think about. I'm old enough to remember life before the internet. And when you had opinions, you didn't have too many people to share them with, right? And it blows me away that somebody like me right now could be actually speaking to people around the world right now, sharing my opinions with you. That is not something that happened in the early 90s. It just wasn't. But now everybody's got a blog, people have YouTube channels and all this other stuff like that. And even just posting a post on Facebook, you feel like you're an authority on things. And all of a sudden you are kind of like the center of everybody's attention, delivering your opinion to them. So again, just a very new thing that's happening that our brains just aren't quite ready for yet. So you have become a tool of a tool, digital ghouls telling you to shut up and dance. All right. So this is powerful, right? Everybody's on their phones. Meanwhile, the Mona Lisa's in front of them. Okay, so I didn't talk about the characters we have here, right? So we've got, of course, here's Thomas. He's the pretentious environmentalist, right? The person who goes out and preaches about the environment. And we're going to see in a little bit, he's not quite a man of his word, right? We've got Floor, who's kind of like that Instagram mom, right? Where every single time, they're around their kids, they're taking all kinds of photos, right? So it looks like a happy family. Happy mother, happy child, and so on. You've got Marco, who's selling you some kind of cure-all pill. I'm not exactly sure what Troy is. He's just like a king, I guess. I don't know. Oh, and then let's not forget the Instagram model, right? The one who's just every single picture of herself is perfect. She looks perfect, and so on. I don't think I left anybody out, except Empu, who has the nerve to get off his phone in a little bit, right? And going back to the lyrics, the phrase "from a sunless world," when you think back, couple thousand years ago, when we actually had to live in nature, right? Evolution brought us to a point where we were able to survive in nature. And now it's to the point where we can be in our homes, locked away from the world. You're in a sunless world. You don't have to interact with nature at all, from the moment you get up to the moment you go to bed. But as long as we have the internet, we're connected, right? So that's that sunless world. And I love this: brain insomniac, paranoiac, endless noise. Your brain never stops. He's chained to a tree.
Please love me, see how I bleed, please endure. I have such empathy in me. Powerless, how beautifully numb. Deep in the quiet air to have a meaning. Fire carry on, set hologram, lost in the maze. The real and human feel. The sunset is free from this deity. The earth has a real voice, go out and get him.
The earth has a real voice. Come out and get him. Is that what it says? Come out and get him? Oh, go out and get in. And the part, the please love me, see how I bleed. Please endure, I have such empathy in me. It's kind of like what I talked about before. How we want to feel true empathy for people that we've never met. But just how much were we really designed to do that? And then sunset is free from this deity. The earth has a real voice. Go out and get in. Sunlight's free. And we really kind of need it to be healthy, right? Okay, here we go. And of course, it was a baby. Now it's getting older, right? So, still stuck in that world. And I believe that is... Sorry, I broke a rule there. I was about to say, I believe that is also Flora's daughter, Freya, maybe? Let me know if it's not. She might be a little too old, but I thought that was. So now we're about to see the ugly reality of things. We've seen everything through the perfect lens of the internet, right? However, all the information comes to us in a perfectly packaged little nugget. But now we're about to see, I guess, kind of like the reality behind everything. Exaggerated, of course, but nonetheless. So there's Tuamas. You'll notice this is the gentleman who was chained to a tree, right? Who was walking around with the signs, because you could see he's put his hat and his clothes and everything up. And now he's basically worshiping oil, right? Petroleum products and things like that. He's bathing in it. And so that's super powerful. I've never noticed this before on the small screen. Again, being a parent, this just, I'm got like chills right now thinking about this. When you see the girl's face up close, she's crying. There's tears coming down, right? Meanwhile, there's a broken down playground behind them. So the child's not playing. The child's not playing in the playground. But of course, Flora is still all done up real pretty. And she's like, get over here for the picture. Get over here for the picture. And the child is just not happy, So it's pretty powerful. Look at that. Oh, look at that frustrated look on her face. Here, wait, let me go back for that really quick. But look at how Flora's face starts to look frustrated. She's like, why aren't you smiling? Why aren't you smiling? Look at her. Right there. She's like, never noticed that before. There's Empu. He's going to look away from the phone. Red alert. Oh, he's on a toilet. Okay. And now the daughter is in a cage. Not outside playing, but in a cage made by her mother. And then, okay, one more thing. So I haven't talked about this a whole lot, but most of my career, I've been a paramedic. That's been my job. 25 years now, I've been a paramedic. And luckily, I retired right before this cell phone craze got to be a little nuts, where every single call you're on, there's just a sea of cell phones up there videotaping everything you're doing, right? And how many times do you watch a video where somebody's getting the crap kicked out of them, but then there's somebody videotaping it? So obviously, there's people not helping, right? So, again, kind of an homage to that. Somebody's getting their crap kicked out of them, and then he's kind of taking a selfie showing he was there, right? There's the Instagram model getting Botox and I love this double kick here. You probably noticed too the video was rewinding, like it was going backwards there. So now he's older.
Beyond the human horizon, something terrifying sleeps.
Now I never understood what that said before. Beyond the human horizon, something terrifying sleeps. Okay. Her lip actually grows. And of course, they're old, and then it just keeps going. Just like the Matrix, right? You've got a whole bunch of them all plugged in. Meanwhile, there's a gorgeous sunset that they can't see, right? Okay, wow. Well, I mean, I definitely have to say, now that I've seen the lyrics, I appreciate this song even more than I have. And again, I've not only seen this video many times and listened to this song many times, but I've also watched reactions to it. And I think people are always very careful, and rightfully so, very careful about being preachy or maybe digging too much into the meaning of everything. So, I apologize if, I said some things that maybe you don't agree with or whatever. But you really do have to think about the fact that, again, we have been evolved and the wiring of our brain has been programmed in such a way for us to deliver and receive information in certain amounts, in specific amounts, that our brain is able to handle. And the information age is a very young age, only a few decades old, not nearly enough time for us to, kind of evolve with it. So it is kind of a daunting and slightly scary thought. So I guess the moral of the story, and also what Thomas is trying to say, hey, technology is not a bad thing. It really isn't. Internet's not a horrible thing. You could do some amazing things with it. But just take a little time every day to just kind of reconnect with nature. Go outside, take a walk, breathe the air, let your kids get in the dirt, climb trees. And of course I'm saying this as you're all looking at your phones watching this video, which I appreciate very much. So now that the video is over, feel free to take a walk or do whatever you gotta do. I don't know. But until then, I will definitely be looking for you on the next one, maybe a few weeks from now, when I continue the journey through this amazing album. And I just realized they did that entire outro with that screen. But it's okay, right? We'll get through it. Until then, be safe, be healthy, and be nice to each other.